Generate autopilot content for your site directly with otomatic.ai, either from the plugin or directly from the web app version. So quite simply, once you select your site, you'll create a new Autopilot project. So we'll just click here on the Create a Project button, and here we move on. You have generation options by keywords, by RSS feed, by GNews, sitemap, URL, and YouTube videos. So the data will be collected simply to feed the dataset in order to generate your content. So it's not copy-paste here either. It's just used in the automatic algorithm to ensure you have clean data from your competitors, especially from Google SERPs or RSS feeds, etc. To have content that works well here, we're going to go by keyword directly, so we'll select either page or article. So starting from the keywords, thank you. Here, what are we going to do? Well, quite simply, we're first going to select the style we want to apply, especially to our titles, and set the direction of the article. So here, for example, if you want an article that's more informative, commercial, local, branded, comparative, or a guide. Next, you'll be able to enter your titles directly if you already have them, if you created them with ChatGPT, for example, or another tool, and you've carefully planned what you want. You can enter, as we'll see in a moment, your titles manually. Or you can also add a list of keywords and we'll generate titles that match them to create your content. So here to start, we'll go with the informative option. This is something very standard here. So we'll click on informative. Here, for example, we will carefully enter wooden house. We will also enter construction, house, and wood as additional relevant terms, as in the example. And so with just one keyword, we can generate several titles, either to have a choice or simply to keep it like this, within the same theme. But be careful about duplicates, of course, when you do this. So here we go. We've entered our keyword and specified the number of titles to generate. You have custom instructions if, for example, you want to personalize the different titles you're going to generate. So here, of course, you can simply prompt by making your request for the generation of your titles. Once you've selected everything properly, you click on Generate Your Titles. And so we'll end up with 5 titles that have been generated, which are directly related to wooden house construction. So here, as we can see, why choose a wooden house, the key steps, how much does it cost, etc. Of course, you can also manually edit your titles here without any problem. You can also do it here. Rewrite them, so regenerate them. If you don't like them, or if you want other suggestions, you simply click on Rewrite to generate more related titles. If you also want to have a different selection of titles on roughly the same topic, you can generate related titles like this. And then you have the content configuration. We're going to go back. And now we're going to go here. So let's generate commercial. We're going to find almost the same thing as informative, with the only difference being that you'll have queries that are a bit more sales oriented, let's say. Now we're going to move on to the local section. So for the local section, it's the same. It's pretty nice when you're running on autopilot or even in bulk if you're posting a lot at once. So here, for example, if I take here, I'll choose the topic. So I'll pick hotel, okay? So this is really for local, to do local SEO, hotel. And then I'll add here, Polynesia. So the goal here is to collect the names of hotels that are geolocated in Polynesia. I'm going to request some, so I'll leave it at 5. Same here, you have custom instructions. If you want to add a prompt to try to steer the generated titles a bit more in your direction, you can do that. So here, what's going to happen is that we'll simply end up with hotel names that correspond to Polynesia. So Hotel in Papeete, the best addresses. Hotel in Moorea. Hotel Abora, Hotel Ariate Awene. So here, it chose to directly pull the islands of Polynesia to create guides for us right away. So as we could see just before here, you have an example of a title, Hotel Lebrando, the luxury resort in the heart of Polynesia. So you can also retrieve the names of the hotels. So don't hesitate if, for example, you're really focused on the location here, go back, regenerate, and you'll get other suggestions that will be created. And it can also be the names of the hotels, which can be pretty nice. Once that's generated, you move on to content generation. Same thing here. Next, we're still going to focus on keywords. Here we'll still select article and we'll choose the brands. So all of this is about keywords. So everything starts from keywords when it comes to brands. So what are we going to do here? We're going to generate queries with brands in the titles. For example, here, we'll take the suggested example, plugging SEO WordPress, 5 titles. You can see the example title, Yoast SEO, how to optimize the SEO of your WordPress site. The idea is to generate. Again, we've asked for 5 titles. We're going to have the brand name, it's dedicated to brands. I could have put electric car, I could have put touring bike, I could have put CBD, etc. So I end up with brands. They could be website brands, well-known brands, etc. In this case here, we've asked for plugins, SEO, WordPress, there you go, eHost, discover the plugin, SEO, WordPress, etc. Rank Math, all in SEO, SEO Press, Squirrely, there you go. So we're looking for brands. That's nice too. When you want to position yourself like this on brand names, it's actually pretty convenient. Next, same thing. We're going to go back. We'll look again at the keywords. We'll go back to the article. Here, the comparisons. So comparison, this will actually help you generate titles to create your content. Here as well on brand versus brand. So here, for example, I'll do sports shoes. Let's say, and I'm going to generate 5 titles. So for example, Nike or Adidas, Puma versus Reebok, New Balance versus Asics, Adidas. Versus, you see, you have brand versus brand. So I could have put plugins here as well. I could have put AI services. I could have included all sorts of brands. Basically, the idea is to really make these small brand comparisons like this, brand versus brand. So again, these are things that work quite well in SEO, and it's the same here. When you generate your content, you'll get comparison tables that will automatically adapt. Since the title is based on brand versus brand, it's always interesting. Once again, in SEO, it's nice. And then you have the guides. So it's the same thing here. In fact, it will simply pre-format guides for you that will slightly influence the content, again, based on what you want to do. So, for example, if I choose WordPress, like in the example given here, I'll generate it. And of course, I'll get a suggested title based on the WordPress theme. So WordPress, the complete guide to creating and managing your site in 2025, guide, WordPress, WordPress explained, etc. In short, you get the idea. Here too, we're using the same model based on keywords. So that's quite interesting. The differences we'll see next. So here we've been working with keywords, generating keywords, adding my titles manually. So here it's very simple. You already have your titles. And here you're going to simply copy and paste the list of, for example, how to plant tomatoes here, enter, and so on. You will add your titles, which will not be rewritten unless, of course, you request it here with rewriting or directly generating the content. You can also interact with your titles again. So it's never too late if you made a mistake to simply go back. And then the last thing for Autopilot, regarding the keywords, here you will have the list of keywords. So when you enter a formative, you enter a keyword, and then for that keyword, we will generate several titles. Here, the difference with the keyword list, quite simply, is that you will generate 1 title per keyword you enter and not a predefined number. So that means if you have a list of keywords collected from SEMrush or from a list you've made yourself, well, quite simply here, you will enter your list of keywords, and for each keyword added here, you can select the generation style, you can choose comparisons, guides, etc. There's a ping that happens from the options found earlier, which works just like here. We're working in a raw way by entering the keywords. If you want to interact again with guides and brands, you can do it here. So, for example, if I select brands here and I've entered WordPress and SEO and I generate titles, I'm going to generate 1 title per keyword I've entered. Which one will be transformed? So as a brand query, there you go. It's a bit more precise. And if you want to go a bit further, it's quite interesting. You see, well, here I've only entered really basic keywords, but you can add some long tail keywords, etc. And then you can generate some pretty cool stuff with the same options for rewriting related titles, as well as deletion, of course, to manage your titles. That's it for integrating keywords. RSE feeds are great. I'll refer you to the other videos that are directly accessible from the YouTube playlist for generation.